G'day thrill seekers, it's been a few weeks. I'm really sorry, had a lot of stuff going on and I haven't done all that much with the truck. We put some gauges in for oil pressure and turbo pressure and a pyrometer to give us the exhaust gas temperatures, and I didn't really film anything about that. We've got a whole lot of other stuff buttoned up. Today we're going to look at putting on the intercooler. I have purchased a complete kit. Oh, damn coronavirus. I've purchased a complete kit from HPD in South Australia. I've been really happy with their kits in the past. I put a couple of them on GQ patrols with front mounted intercoolers. This time around, because of the lack of space we have in the front, we're going with a top mount intercooler. I'll leave it up to you guys to argue benefits, deficits, whatever it is. You know, some people prefer front, some people prefer top. This particular kit does have a fan, thermo fan that goes underneath the intercooler, so even when you are sitting at idle, it will be drawing cold air in through the scoop. Let's get, you know what? Let's have a look through the kit first. Let's see what we get with it, and then we'll start trying to put it all together, bit by bit by bit. Okay, so as you can see, it's a pretty large box. If we just open it all up here, and bit by bit, okay, we've got packaging, and then what's this? Okay, is the hood scoop. This actually requires us to cut a much bigger hole in the bonnet than the standard intercooler had. We've gone with a much larger intercooler, basically so we can just move more air through the intercooler, keep the inlet temperatures as low as possible. This is what you always need, the destructions. I will find those really, really handy. Moving more stuff. And if you're fortunate like me, you've got all the space in the world, then it doesn't really matter what you do with the packaging because you've pulled this all out. Okay, here is the whole reason we're here. I have a whole bunch of tubing that's just rolled off, but my apprentice can find it underneath. So there's our intercooler with the fan already fitted, so that's going to be a time saver there. And then we've got a whole bunch of hardware and hoses and all sorts of bits and pieces that we'll just have to work our way through. Thanks, babe. And we'll go through bit by bit, okay? Because at the moment, yeah, that is just a bag of bits that don't mean much to me, and obviously there's a bit that goes onto the manifold. So yeah, let's get started installing some of this stuff. So the first thing we've got to do is pull the old, I don't know, collar off the inlet manifold where the standard hose went on. Have a look at that. That is just a beautiful piece of CNC machined aluminium. Too bad it's going to be covered up and no one's ever going to see it, but you can see they go to a lot of trouble with making their bits. As I say, I've been really happy with the HPD kits. We're going to clean this up. You know what I'm going to do before I really get cracking on this? That is, I'm just going to jam a rag down here so nothing ends up falling into our... This is the first bit that goes on. I've cleaned up the inlet manifold and put a bit of gasket goo on there. There isn't a gasket in the kit for it, but I figure it's not going to hurt to have a bit of goop there. What I just wanted to mention was the kit comes with one of these hose barbs to fit into here. There's actually 3 holes here. They supply a couple of brass plugs for the ones you're not going to use. Now, I've actually needed another one, so for like $5 I've just gone to the local auto parts store. I just got another brass one. because one will go to my boost gauge in the cabin, the other one will go to the boost compensator on top of the injector pump. I'm sure I've talked you through what I've done. We've gone from a 10mm pump to an 11mm pump with a boost compensator, so that as the turbo comes on boost, we can actually get the right amount of fuel in there and make plenty of vroom vroom noises as we're doing it. Okay, we've got our inlet on and our pressure hoses. Now we've got to set up the subframe for the intercooler, because it's a top mount intercooler. The GU already has a couple of studs hanging out of the firewall here, and the destructions are pretty good. So basically what we're going to end up with is this along the back of the firewall, and then two of these supports running down that they'll basically act as a cradle for the intercooler itself to sit into. So yeah, it should be as easy as, but it's not, because they're not perfectly lined up. We might have to just open those holes a touch. So give me a minute and I'll be back. We might have to drill through the red support. We had a little bit of a setback, that being that because I'm not using a standard radiator, the brackets that hold the intercooler in place weren't long enough to clear the intercooler. So what I did, unfortunately, we ran out of battery because I'm just so well equipped here for filming. But what we ended up doing was cutting the bracket and sliding over a piece of tube that was of a larger diameter and setting it all up in the engine bay. I quickly tacked on the sleeves and then had to pull everything out, weld it up. Obviously I've repainted it. It's not pretty, but it's certainly unbelievably strong and it will do the job. So let's just get on with putting these brackets in and trying to get it all back together. Alrighty, so we've got the intercooler fitted up. I'm still going to leave the front end of the brackets loose, but we're going to start putting the tubing on, because for there we should be able to fire it up, get the front fixed, put everything, do a final assembly. We've got to wire up, there's a thermofan underneath it, which will wire up. There's actually a temperature switch on the back of the intercooler, so that'll turn the thermofans on after it hits a particular temperature. So when you're sitting in traffic, one of the biggest issues is the heat coming off the engine while you're traveling at really low speeds. So the fan helps to draw cool air from outside down into the intercooler while you're just stuck in traffic. So you can still get good takeoffs, I suppose. Other than that, I can't work out why you'd be doing it. Do yourselves a favour, pull these off before you put the intercooler in. Pull the dust caps off before you install. So as you can see, just from sitting around for all this time, the bonnet's filthy. I'm just going to give it a quick clean, not to make it look fantastic, but just to give me enough of a clean surface. See, have a look at that. Just to give me enough of a clean surface that I can attach masking tape to the area that I'm going to be cutting. Because I think the best way to go about it, I think it even says in the instructions that the kit comes with, to take measurements from the firewall to where you need this thing to end up, and then transfer it from the firewall, close the bonnet and redo it. So the measurements say, or the instructions say, take measurements to the core and then transfer that to the bonnet. So what I'm going to do, first of all, is just mark it as like just a wax pencil, so it's not going to leave any permanent marks on the paint, so we can first work out, give us an idea of where it's all got to be. So, the inside of the guard, 540, 520, 540, and to there, 180. I've got something, a little metal filing or something in my finger. It's driving me nuts.
So I'm giving this a rub down with 800 wet and dry, just to give us a nice surface for the paint to adhere to. We've already cut the hole in the bonnet, we've trimmed it all out and around. I've made sure the seal's going to fit, all the holes for the scoop are drilled. So I'm going to spray these together because of the raw edge, just to seal that up. Got the scoop sanded back, ready to paint. I've given it a wash down with like a pre-paint wash, prep wash thing. Got a 3-step system here. Basically had the color mixed up and put into an aerosol can for me. We'll see what sort of finish we get. It's the first time I've ever used this, but basically we've got an undercoat, a color coat and a clear coat. The big thing I've been told is you have to wait for every coat. Like, you want to put down a generous coat, but you've got to wait for the paint to really be dry before putting the next coat on. So, like everything we've done with this project, we'll just start at the start and see what happens. Obviously, break everything up really well.